Wake the farm up.
You guys want to hear another one?
Yeah, I like that. Let's get into it.
Cool.
Whatever we got to do to make it happen.
I don't need no cheesy taglines, no funny corridor. I just need my freedom like the day before, and maybe even more. Here we go.
Wake the farm up.
You know, permaculture realms. So yeah,
Right, yeah.
So I'm excited. Let's all come into the room telepathically here and welcome Rob Cruz to Wake the Farm Up.
Oh.
Yo, wake the farm up.
Thank you for having me, my friend. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here, coming straight from my garden and my little a little slice of heaven that I've been cultivating here, and yeah, excited to talk to you and rap for a bit.
Yeah, I love rapping, you know, getting the flows and getting things to rhyme into like the little rhythms, like the water slapping up against the river shore, against the island coast, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So yeah. So what's happening? What's been word? Like, you know, you've been pulling this thing together. It seems like it's gonna, you know, it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's evolving, huh?
Yeah, there's this you know, this connection with nature. It's just communicating really clearly to me right now to, you know, keep sharing Wake the Farm Up. And you know, it's gone beyond the farm, which I can imagine you can even explore like those realms of the word farm. You know, like sometimes it kind of gets to a point where, you know, you're in the middle of a forest all of a sudden, you know, when you get involved in like, so you've worked with the Kauai food forest, and am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, that's it.
That's
That's
it.
it. The quiet food forest, my friend.
Yeah.
So I've been lucky. It's been a hell of a dream. Realistically, I was able to fall into the lap of the Kauai food forest as it was being, I would say kind of being born. My buddy Paul Massey is the main steward, and it's under his nonprofit called Regenerations. And yeah, it was kind of formulated around 2011. There was a permaculture course, and it was designed, and then in 2012 it was installed. And I was lucky enough to jump on the ship in 2012,
Nice.
and I've been riding in that ship ever since. And I'm one of the main stewards. And dude, it's been such a crazy experimental human experience because
Ooh,
there's nobody that's doing it like we've done it. People are all over the place are planting trees and making their own food forests, but
right.
ours is
I
like
love
a
that.
community project.
Yeah.
So it's so different because like it's not only like we're trying to figure out how to make a food forest and actually like all there's so many moving parts in a food forest as far as like understanding all the trees and like how to interact with them and when to interact with them and understanding how to take care of the soils and all that. But we just have an influx of people all the time, and at this point we have a core group of people that is it's probably about 20 people, 30 people strong, that are like the stewards of the food forest. And then out of that whole group, we probably have about a solid 10 to 12 of them there every week. You know what I mean?
Incredible. Yeah.
And and then we have people that are just like, people that hear about us and show up, or people that are here on vacation and show up. They hear about us from the internet or however they find us. And so we have an influx of people that are just like, I'm here to help you guys out. How do I help?
Yeah. I love that.
Um,
And
so
they get to
it's
experience some of what seasonally is coming through the gardens and forests there, and get to experience it with you guys who have been there and watched it grow. I mean, you've watched it grow
yeah,
for 12 years now. I mean, you're
yeah.
going
It's
into your
it's
12th year. How,
yeah.
that's
It's
amazing.
12 years now. It's ridiculous.
That's
It's
an
ridiculous.
that's an observation spot that you
It's
have a
it's
unique perspective on, I am sure. Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool to like to know every part of it and to know how it looked in different phases, and how like every time I walk through it, I can still pick, oh, this has changed and this has changed and this has changed, because it's always changing,
Hmm.
as like things get more mature and they get dark, or we go through and we like rip things apart and make light again, or
Things
somebody comes.
moving, like they exist in a certain area for like 4 years and then they kind of gravitate across, like I know here we got like blackberries and things are always moving. Strawberries, they like to be
Yeah,
in one place for a couple years, and a lot of times people try to keep them in the same place and it starts getting challenging. They just need to
yeah,
they need to
yeah,
they need to
everything's
rob Cruz
always
around.
changing.
They just need to rob Cruz around, right?
I don't know, man. I only know what I know in my own world over here, and it's going to
Yeah.
be different everywhere. But like, the more that you observe nature, the more that it is like a universal language. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, but it's cool
Tell
because
tell us
it's
about it.
like,
I know what you mean, but like let's tell all the I want to hear like I want to that's like something I really want to hear, and the audience wants to hear different voices sharing their connection with nature and how that communicates with them and guides. And like you
yeah,
you mentioned stewarding the land. One of our Wake the Farm Up concepts is like the land stewarding us simultaneously. It's a
yeah.
symbiotic, and so.
I mean, I feel in myself that humans are here to be stewards of this earth, and that's really our rightful place.
Mm.
And if we're not doing that, then we're probably doing something stupid. You know what I mean?
Something.
Because it's a lot easier to fuck things up than it is to make it better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So really just a lot of listening, like watching the trees and listening, and taking in subtle observations of, or of health or otherwise. And like one of the things that me and my partner have been trying to do lately is, before we act in our garden, is like really ask, like really just straight ask, either out loud or in your head, of like how you can be of service to this, and take in what comes to you without having any kind of filter to it, and then trying to act and then observe again. So I think there's
Mhm.
so many ways to interact with all of this, but to like do it from your heart and your stomach, and try not to use too much of your brain, because a lot of what's in our brain is from other people's brains.
Right, right. Well, something I looked up, and I know from connecting with you over years, like I don't remember when we connected. You were probably one of the first Instagram people I connected with, and that I think I started that in 2014 or something. And we had a lot of cool like commentary back and forth. You had the most bomb permaculture memes that were popping out there. I could have a whole another episode just talking about the ones that I saw in there that were absolutely hilarious and straight
uh,
up like ridiculous pointers. I'll point out one real quick while I'm thinking about it. It's the one where there was like a lady screaming, and it would say, "Dinner tonight, we're having pork." And she'd be like, "Oh, good." And then it'd be like, "Tonight, we're having horse." And she'd be like,
oh yeah,
"Ah."
it's all perspective, right?
Such a
It's all
perspective.
perspective.
Yeah. And
It's all perspective and where you're from and your culture and like how you look at things and what's your normal, you
right.
know? And actually going back to that, like one of the really interesting things that we do at the food forest every week is like we have this bomb meal, right? That we make from the forest as best as we can and from our friends' gardens as best as we can. And we sit down in a circle and we have this bomb meal and we eat off bananas, off banana leaves.
Hmm.
And we all sit on the floor and we eat with our hands.
Yeah.
And
Feel
when
it.
outsiders come and they're like, we're eating off of banana leaves, these look kind of dirty. We're eating with our hands. That's kind of dirty. It's, well, it's dirty to you because that's
Norm.
your world.
Right.
You know what I mean? You
Right.
go to India, you go to Africa, you go to all these places where they don't have access to all these fancy things. This is what you do. And
Right.
honestly, it makes a lot more sense when you're trying to feed 30 people. Do you really want to wash 30 more plates and all that more cutlery and all that nonsense? It's hard enough just to get all the dishes done out as it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, it's like
Put
it's
it
all
in the
just it's all
compost.
perspective. And I
Yeah.
think one of the best ways we can really call that all out is with humor because
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
humor is the delivery of the unwanted. That's how you deliver that message because if you say it too straight without having a little bit of like a wet slap to it, then people don't like it. you
Yeah.
know?
They like that wet slap in there. They'll hear it and they'll be like, "Okay, I see that.
Okay, I
Okay."
get it. It's a little
Yeah.
tonguey, it's a little cheeky, and then it's okay. It doesn't hurt as bad. They don't take as much offense to it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with eating horses
Sure. I mean, there's been cultures that have done it for eons, and
for
I don't know.
sure.
I guess that kind of brings me to a contemporary theme in conversations and Wake the Farm Up. It's kind of like almost a colonization kind of word that comes up a lot, and it's like of our minds,
Yeah.
and like this conditioning of our minds of like I don't know. It gets you to a place where my perspective, it's kind of like really like mundane. It's Mughal, it's the most people. What would you like tonight? Most people prefer the pork, the chicken, or the beef. And if you don't
Yeah.
like any of those, you can go straight to the soy and eat it yourself.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like that conditioning, and I've seen it even recently in South Korea. They
Mm.
made dog farms illegal and they're not consuming dogs there anymore. And I first overheard it with people that were like celebrating that. And I was like, that's pretty sad, actually, like, because now it's another place where you can't go and like experience some piece of culture that they've been doing for eons, even though my cultural tradition thinks that dogs should be kept in cages while you're at work and walked after work or something, and it's like,
Yeah.
what is, what is, what's, why did that have to be like that? And it's like
Yeah.
it's a normalifying, and it's like,
Yes.
so
What's normal, right? It's what's normal. What's normal is whatever's around you and you've seen enough, and then that becomes normal, right? And then anything outside of that it's an oddity. So it all comes down to that, and I feel like at this point, like I'm one thing I've been saying over and over and I can't say even in my head, I've been saying it is like, don't do what people do.
mhm,
If you see people doing that, you shouldn't be doing that. Like at this point, like almost everything should be counterculture because our culture is eroding so fast. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
We should be running in the opposite direction, you know?
right,
So like if you're a part of the majority, sorry, like we don't need to be running into like into the transhumanism and into like all this technological world that just is not going to be it's not going to be that great for us in the end, like that's why I mean, like myself and you and a lot of people in the naturalist movement, let's call it,
I like that
you know
ecology, like
we're running that way. We're
mhm.
running that way, and it's funny that we use that word. Actually, a few months ago, I started working at a botanical garden, and
Nice,
I'm a tour guide there, and I'm teaching everybody about the trees. Yeah,
beautiful.
and
Yeah,
I had this
hey.
I had this young lady come up to me, and she's like, "You're a naturalist," and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I am. I never heard that term, but I guess I'll take it. You know what I mean? I like it better than hippie, and
Right,
it makes more sense than permaculturist.
right.
So I'm
Or
like, I could take that.
like forest dirt ball or something, It's
Yeah,
like
exactly. Yeah, like yeah, stinky gardener or something.
yeah, yeah.
So
I
I
don't
think
know.
that's it.
I've taken, again, you go take it to the comedy room. It's all pivot how you take things, how it's
Yeah.
like it's an adoration, I think when people give you real creative names.
Yeah, that was the first time that someone's actually gave me a title that I was like, I like that.
Naturalist.
I'm gonna keep that one because it speaks so much easier than other ways I can explain myself.
I like that. I'm gonna
So
put that under the title, in the episode, Ron
yeah,
Cruz,
because I mean that's
naturalist.
really it, bro. Like if you
Yeah.
look at it, like the conveniences are killing us. Like
Hmm.
we're basically domesticated, and the more that we domesticate the world around us, the more domesticated we are, and we just become softer and softer to the point that we're freaking just falling apart.
Speak.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and like
Disconnecting like from each other, from ourselves, from all
from
of
the work that we're
nature.
supposed to be doing, from like the straight up magnetics of the earth, you name it, from like the circadian rhythm of the
Mm,
of the sun, like every single part of actually having more convenience is killing us. It's killing
mm-hmm.
us.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the idea of being a naturalist at this point because like that's where the truth lies. The truth lies in what has been happening here for bajillions of years. Everything else is kind of a facade, you know what I mean? Like
For sure.
it's economics at this
Going
point has
going
molded our minds and molded our culture to the
mm,
point that we're barely even biological, you know?
mm.
So like, man, there's a split in the road from what I see right now. There's going to be people that are going to just run towards the
Cyborgs.
transhumanism, and there's
Cyborgs.
going to be people that are going to run towards the woods. And so you better learn how to freaking grow your food if you're running towards the woods, because it's not just buying a bucket of seeds.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's a whole lifetime of understanding how to work with the soil, the sun, and the wind and the rain. You know what I mean? And that's something
Lifetime.
that we've lost it. We've lost it in the last 3 generations because of what? Convenience, you know?
Yeah.
So
I
it's a
hope,
trippy thing.
yeah, I hope that you can keep getting amazing people coming through from all over through the forest gardens there and getting the opportunity to touch with them. And now you're even at botanical gardens taking people and connecting them to the trees and different plant species, even on like this. That's like a simpler level almost in the forest garden. The forest garden is
Yeah, it
like,
is.
hey, we invite you to come in here and be a human animal for a little bit and experience what people, should be feeling like on this planet. And, you know,
Yes, I like that. I like that. A human animal, because that's what all it is. And like, we don't want to admit that we're animals, but
yeah, we're
look at all
so.
this fuzz on my face. You know what I'm saying? I just did a little trimming so I didn't look as animalistic.
Hey,
So
you're
we're
looking
just,
good. You're looking good.
uh, bro,
Hawaiian
getting old, man.
sunset's
Getting
coming down
old.
there.
12 years flew by.
Yeah, that
But hey,
happens. We're animals.
we're
We're,
animals,
and
bro.
we
I'm okay with it.
yeah. It's like
I'm
I don't.
okay with it.
I mean, what's the other option? Maybe in the future I'll have my brain inside of like some kind of bodysuit, like Crane and the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
That could
that's
be
what I had in my
cool.
head when you said that. Oh, damn. No, it's so true. I mean, it's like, actually, as I was preparing for this right now, I had to go dig in my bag of old like electronics to find a headphones. I'm like, I don't have headphones anymore. I hope this works because I know, like, sometimes
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
all about the equipment to be able to get the good quality stuff. And like the longer that I've been over here, like the less I've been running in the game of technology, and that game is moving fast. And
Right,
I'm like,
right.
I feel like I'm too young to like jump off the technology realm. Because like, okay, when you're a grandma, grandpa, okay, whatever, you don't have to keep up, but damn, it's just crazy. It's really crazy. And honestly, also like my wife, I have a brilliant wife that I also met at the food forest. That
Hey,
really project that has really formed my life in a lot of ways.
beautiful. Yeah.
But she's brilliant and she brings me so much information and like the whole thing with all the EMFs and everything. It's fucking crazy. It's poison for us, man. And like that's all that we're being pushed towards right now. There's no ideas for us forward without it being completely plugged into something, you
Right.
know? So
Right.
like I'm saying you could plug into something, but don't let it be that, you know? There's things out there that are going to be way more fulfilling and, you know, being able to create gardens, to be able to create forest gardens and create forest gardens with community is a beautiful thing and I really feel like that is where like humans shine, man. Because when you're doing something by yourself, it's fun and it's nice. And now I have a beautiful wife to garden with, and we crush it between the two of us. And then I turn around and I have a whole like I wouldn't say army, but a small platoon of badass gardeners at the food forest now. And when we put our minds to something, man, we crush some things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that's really where I feel like humans humans will be gratified because doing a lot of the crap that we're doing as far as just moving around numbers and moving around paper and moving around things in cars
And then
isn't
going to
gratifying. But be
gyms. Then you go to the gym to make up for not jumping over logs and swinging on vines and cutting
Yeah,
branches
exactly.
and
That's
carrying
basically
leaves.
your rat shred meal there.
Yeah.
And like it's just like we just need to get back to what we were designed to do, and that is realistically steward the earth, you know? And like you won't hear people saying that. You won't hear people thinking that. But like, there's really nothing for else for us to do here.
Yeah.
You
This,
know,
this might
like
even
everything
be
else is a distraction.
like for some people, this might even be their last moment that they go to the internet. They might hear this episode and be like, "Hey, this was what I was
And
looking
I'm out of
for.
here.
I'm out."
I wish, bro. I wish.
Yeah.
I still get sucked in, but I'm doing better, bro. I'm like, I understand this thing, and I understand what kind of trap that these fucking technologies are. You know, and I'm trying to make sure that I use them as tools and not as
Hmm.
pacifiers for my own, you know, just
Not a
mind
not a
and like
crutch.
energy source. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's designed to suck us in, bro. Like we're a product of their like you know their spreadsheets now. So we really got to be on our p's and q's because biologically we're attracted to this, you know. So we really got to just make sure that we understand how important it is for us to actually have our bare feet in the ground and our hands in the earth and actually learning how to cultivate because that's what we have to do. That's it. That's what all of our ancestors have done. If you're here, that's what your ancestors have done. It might not have been your, you know, your mom and dad and your grandma, but before that, that was it. That was what we did. And, you know, people
Hmm.
were happy. You know, life was harder, but life isn't better, easier either.
Hey,
So,
yeah. Hey, hey. So yeah, wake the farm up. That is a
I mean,
that's what we're talking about. Wake the farm up. Hope Day preppers like get that's like one of our like there's Hope Day preppers jumping up and down right now like in the ethos, listening to this, like there's hope. People are like, creating gardens. People are creating music. People are making baskets together and doing these
yeah,
things that we've done for eons, like and
yeah,
rediscovering that actual human connection. And that's our nature. And that connects
yeah,
us into even more of the nature. And these things are all things that we've done outside of broken society. And there's so
yeah,
much stuff in this like society that's just broken. It's not us. It's not
hmm,
humans. It's not humanity. It's something else that's like
yeah,
got a hold, and we can, put our minds to it. We can, I mean,
hmm,
that's like using these tools to learn ways to connect with things that help us liberation, liberate
yes,
ourselves, reconnect, the earth. Like I have extreme faith and I want to share that with people that the earth has like more than enough food and medicine for like 25 billion people if we're
yeah,
connected with it and working with it, right? And we don't need jail systems and all these things. Like they can, I mean, they like things like that, like they can be gone away with when there's actual humanity being embraced between people And that often starts when you connect with nature. It's like
Mm-hmm.
that really tings you in. And, you know, there's, you know, just like breathing some moss for me, it's like instantly back into the flow of the greater ecosystem. I might come out of it, you know, because I'm trying to do this thing. So I went to a college, you know, whose tagline was where nature meets technology. And so I'm kind of embracing that a little bit as a way to like bring nature's voice through here, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's sometimes I get lost in the technology. They're like, oh, am I videoing this right? Or da, 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel off flow, and then I, you
Yeah.
know, go smell some moss and pick some
Yes.
sticks up or something, and drag things around and smell the air and look at the dendritic patterns above me, and boom, I'm like flowing right into it again. And
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the beautiful things is the being able to like actually get in a beautiful creative flow with creating with the earth, you know? And like I love to do that just yeah, just completely like get in your flow state of creator, you know? And I
mm-hmm,
mean, there's so many ways to create as a human, but like creating with the earth is like the ultimate co-creator because like you're creating with like the creator of everything you see. And not only that, you're creating with all kinds of realms that you can't see, you know, that you could only feel.
mm-hmm,
So to be able to just follow your feelings once you get to a point of comfortability in like how to create, how to garden, how to steward, malama, however you want to say it. But yeah, once you get that familiarity, man, like yeah, I mean it's oh wow, it's a beautiful thing. It's like where I want to be all the time, and luckily, I really have kind of been just kind of living in that for a while, and that's kind of my addiction and my purpose at this point. So,
oh, I
yeah, it
think that's
feels really
funny.
good.
Like you like, I don't know, vocabulary is always funny. You know, it's your addiction, so it kind of like takes it into a dark underworld side. And then you also say it's my purpose, so it takes it like all of a sudden there's angel wings capped in it too. It's
Yeah,
beautiful. That's
and it
balance, man.
and I understand it too because when I leave this place, I feel like I'm missing a part of my power. And like I understand now that like the power comes from what I've created around me, you know, because it
Mm-hmm.
supports me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it feeds me and it supports me emotionally and it supports me like entertainment wise. And when I don't have all that, I'm like, what do I do with these hands and what do I do with myself? I don't even know, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So I can understand where people get lost and like, you know, and
Get you a fidget.
they don't have that. They don't have that outlet. And I mean, everybody has their own outlets, but I feel like that outlet and cultivating it is again like that's where I feel we should be and where we've came from and where we should be going and we're just off track. It's a big track, but you know it's there. It's
It's
there.
there.
It's just
It's
under
there.
the pavement, and you know so you either got to crack some pavement or you got to just get away from enough people that are doing silly things to be able to listen to your own
Mm-hmm.
you know instincts and listen to what's around you or
Mm-hmm.
inside of you to be able to like get it going again and like get back into that creator state because that's our purpose, man. I mean
Yeah.
it's a big statement but I feel like it is. I mean what else are we supposed to be doing here?
Yeah. And one thing I want to ask you about, I've been really connecting, and it comes right off this realm um, of conversation, just connecting in our, oftentimes we'll use poetry of nature to converse or poetically speak how we emotionally feel inside. And I've been catching myself poetically doing that in a way where it's like the opposite, almost like the landscape around me is helping me see what's inside literally almost. Not so much as like my inside is poetically sharing
Mm-hmm.
like this landscape is like this. Um, you know, like I kind of think of in like basic succession terms, you know, when I'm in a state of mind where like I feel like I'm starting over every day. That's like the
Mm-hmm.
grasslands that's getting mowed, and it's like continually like in a state of conflict that doesn't allow growth. And
Uh-huh.
then, you know, like the food forest kind of being in this state where I feel like that's what I've asked for, I guess, in life is for more of a diverse, flowerful, rich life, you know, that is full of growth and conflict. And then there's like this old growth place that you can go in your mental health space too, you know, where there's just like that calm ever presence of an old growth forest that's kind of just in its like serene self-maintaining flow. And you know, it's just like it's beyond growth at that point. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
is like that ever
Stable,
is.
yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, I don't know, that's something I've been thinking about. I thought you would dig and
Yeah, I
have
mean,
some
so much
relate
of
from
it,
there.
like
Yeah.
I mean, everything around us is inspiration. You know what I'm saying? So like, we're feeding off of it all the time, and like, what it feels, we feel, if you're sensitive enough, you know. And I definitely feel that sometimes when I look around and I just see land that I'm like, wow, I know you're hurting, you
Hmm.
know, and I know what you could be, and I know what you've been, you know. So yeah, it's a reflection of us, you know. It
Right.
is us.
Right.
We are it, you know, and we as a humans, we're only going to be as healthy and happy as the environment around us is. Like, if we can't beat our best beings if the environment isn't in a pristine environment, you know.
Right.
We could try. We could go ahead and pave it all over and, like, you know,
Make
build the
the
skyscrapers and
make
stuff,
the
but
best of
we're,
it. I
we
mean,
can make the best of it, but it's not going to make the best of us.
right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's it, because I mean, we're all products of our environment. That's how evolution works. You know, like, that's it. Like, life responds to its environment, and like, it's changing its environment, and the environment's changing it. So we can't separate ourselves from it. You know, that's
Right.
just the rules of the game.
Right.
So we just got to understand the rules and say, well, crap, if the environment's going to shape us, what kind of environment do we want to shape? You know?
Mm-hmm. Do we want one that's
So,
like sharp and spiky and full of poison oak
right,
and maybe
exactly.
glass all over the ground and garbage and barbed wire
Yeah.
and
And you know, bro,
pain and
honestly,
suffering?
I might be taking up another job and helping with some animals over here, and I had like a thought, and when it was like, do we want those animals in prisons, or we want them in paradises,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And that's not the same thing, you know. Like, for ourselves, do we want to build around us prisons, or we want to build around us paradises?
Right.
Because we're creators, and we can do either way,
Right.
you know. But we have to understand that we are creators, and that we have choices of how we utilize our energy, you know. I feel like I really, like, before, I guess in the beginning of my path, I was just kind of like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Fuck it, I got to give it all up if I want to walk away and do something that I want to do, you know.
Tell us,
And I
tell
was
us.
able to do
Yeah,
that,
I want to
you
hear
know.
about like what that was. Like, what did you feel like you gave up? Like, where did you come from before that
Well,
like moment? I mean, if you don't mind a little.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was in the board sport world for a while, and I was a photographer for a while in my past life. And then, but I've always had like the love for trees and nature in my heart. My mom's a florist, so I grew up in a flower shop and around a lot of plants and everything.
Incredible.
Um, but yeah, when I found myself here in Kauai, and like found a lot more, I guess you would say, inspiration from the Hawaiian culture and their
Mm-hmm.
takes on how close they are with the land and how they hold it as reverence, it really put way more perspective of like what humans and their environment are. You know, we really have no language in that for our Western, you know, culture or concepts, you know. So to hear that, and then from there learning about permaculture, and then diving into that as deep as the waters were at those times, to be able to learn as much as I can and just to start applying. But you know, like, I
Mm-hmm.
just had to be like, well, hell with the just chasing the money, and hell with chasing the status, because that's not what was going to make me happy. And you know, at the time I was young enough and being like, well, hell, I have no responsibilities, I'm just going to jump off this boat and just try to find something else, you know. So that's kind of what happened, you know. And at this point, you know, it's, you know, life's moving on, but it's we've made a beautiful thing, and you know, it's just the first of many, I hope, you know, because at this point we have influenced people, and you know what, at this point everybody wants a food forest, bro.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a food
Yeah.
forest, but you know what it takes? A lot of work, a lot of dedication, and a lot of knowledge, you know. and
A lot of
that's okay. It just
observation.
takes the commitment. It just takes the commitment, and
Some
I'm happy to see it trending as it is.
some of
But
the
it's
key words I would add in that it like people need when they're doing forest gardens is that observation and
yeah,
adaptations, like to
for sure.
continually like adapt to
Always
where
changing.
you exactly are. Not I mean,
Yep.
there's cool stuff in books and there's like cool plans and you can watch cool videos of other people on
Right.
their places, but to observe and be present with your place, you're gonna have
Yep.
your own unique story to have.
Yep. They're like fingerprints, bro. Everything is going to be different. There's like, the overarching things that will be kind of constants. My cat just came and checked me out.
Hey,
But
Kitty.
it is observing. It's observing the light and the shadows and the rain and the wind, and like what plants do well and what just gets destroyed by bugs, and it's going to be different everywhere, and it's going to be different every season.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of observation, and that observation becomes knowledge. And then eventually, if you're into it long enough, that knowledge becomes like generational knowledge. And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what we got to move towards, because we broke that line, you know, and it's not as easy to repair as it is, um, to break. But we
Right.
have the want now. I feel like our generation is looking around going, this is not really what I want. I don't think this is a great idea.
Yeah.
And let's try something else. Let's try to go back a few steps. There's no reason to run fast in the wrong direction.
Right. We have children that are growing into this generation. Like I don't know, I could say like our generation has children growing into this generation on this whole other level. And I like that concept of looking at the forest and how your community even grows of succession. Like
Mhm.
do we want grassroots movements to stay grassroots movements, or do we want
Mhm.
them to grow into forest? Do we want
Yeah.
our children to be the same size as us, as our plant that's growing in their connection to the ecosystem? I'd hope my children would be able to have a, you know, even more understanding from the observations and, connections and sharing of that's been happening. And um, yeah, the need for it, the want for it's there, and that's strong in the children for sure. I've heard
Yeah.
that from many children.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I
And
hang
on
out
that
with really
topic,
connected nature kids too, though.
yeah. And on that topic, I had my first daughter 7 months ago. Well, my first daughter.
Oh,
I had a daughter. So I'm a papa
congratulations,
now.
Pop! Welcome. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's
I'm a papa
incredible.
now.
Oh,
Is this
welcome.
getting too dark? Should I go inside? I'm about to probably
It's
go
kind
outside,
of
huh?
cool. Yeah, it's getting darker. And is that the coqui frogs in the background? What kind of?
I don't know what those are. Those are crickets. Those are crickets and birds right now.
Okay, because yeah, they kind of come in sparsely. I don't know if there's like some kind of noise gate on your microphone where it'll do part of one of their calls or something.
Oh, really? Well, let me just go to my patio real quick. So
Cool.
just
Yeah, let's go. Yeah,
come on, patio.
we're filming, so anything. Wow, you can see that color in the background of this.
Oh yeah, we have a beautiful sunset right behind me happening right now.
Beautiful. What kind of trees are you walking past here while you're a tree teacher?
So I got bananas around me. I gotta start making some more videos of my garden. My garden got huge. I got two Gia bananas behind me, and there's these Suspania grandifloras, which are really great trees for the garden because they don't get too shady. Let me kick this light on, and we'll have some magic happening. Hey, it's me.
Hey, that's cool light.
It's kind of ominous again, but we're simple folk out here, so.
Hey, I don't know. I'm like tempted to take pop this camera over to show. I'll show you sometime. I don't know. I'm in Indiana, but I got like a little greenhouse. Passive solar heats my home, but it also
Wow.
has some dwarf banana trees on it, and I've gotten a couple racks here, man.
That a boy. What kind of bananas?
I do think they're a Cavendish, a dwarf Cavendish variety,
Okay.
but they only get 8 feet tall, so it's perfect. They don't smash into the roof of the thing in here.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then,
it's much easier to handle smaller bananas, so that's a good thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I got some loquats and a couple other like things that make it through the winters with me. Cinnamon tree.
Oh wow.
I have a coffee tree, but it died to the ground last year. We had like 3 days in a row where it stayed below 15 degrees, and that just
Oh,
cold creeped in the walls there, and yeah.
that was that.
But it came back up from the roots, so
What are you trying, bro? I like you're pushing the
yeah.
limits.
Yeah, just finding little pockets, and it's keeping it simple too. When it's nighttime, they're kept warm by wood stove, so
That's wild, bro.
yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, man, you guys are crazy to be able to pull off all that heating, man. That's a lot of work.
It's amazing though. I've been at this place for 14 years, and there was years that went by where I heated with a propane tank, and I finally just like cut the curse. It was a curse. It was like $2,000-$3,000 worth of propane a winter to keep me warm.
Wow.
And when I finally like cut the curse and was able to spend like $1,000 on a good wood stove and like build it and set it in just in the right spot, boom, I can go and collect heat in the woods. I can't, go out and collect a bundle of propane or something, So
Right,
yeah, it's
right.
just like another level of liberation. It's like
Yeah.
one more thing
Congratulations
that
on
keeps
that, bro.
me
As
home.
many cords as you can cut, cut them.
Yeah.
Because it takes skill too. Like you've created skills now from doing this. You know how to work with that with the stoves, and
The
you're
different
gonna
burning
keep your body in
temperatures.
shape getting all that wood.
For
So
sure. Yeah, some daily chopping, I like doing
yeah,
it manually. A lot of people want to like be like, "Hey, I got a wood splitter. I could come over." I'm like, "I don't know. It's fine. I'm fit enough. I want to keep splitting them by hand while I can,
exactly. Once you stop, you're not gonna be able to go back.
Right. Right. And I'll just, be turning on some, maybe I'll get an electric one. I don't,
Right, right.
Yeah. No, I think I'd probably hope for more like somebody else that's younger will want to like hang out and split when I'm old, and that tradition can carry on of a way of
Yeah,
keeping a family warm here in the winter. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's how it takes. Succession in its own sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Passing the fire torches.
oh, buddy,
Yeah.
you just did a little robotic voicing. I don't know if maybe some of the connection might be coming through a little bit funnier inside, but
Maybe. I got a tin roof.
nice.
Let's see. I could try to go to the side. Am I sounding crazy?
No, it sounds okay. It's decent, but
Okay.
yeah.
Let's see.
So what?
All right.
What?
This is
So maybe.
here's my edges. It shouldn't be as interfered with. So we'll see.
That's a glorious. That's almost like postcard worthy or something. Of a shot there.
Better light.
It's almost like somebody on like Zoom or something when they put on one of those filter backgrounds.
Oh right. Yeah, yeah. No, that's for real.
That is for real. We believe you. We know.
Yeah.
Is that
It's beautiful.
is that a am I spying a papaya?
You are.
On
That's a direct
stage,
seed of
right?
papaya. Honestly, it's what's funny. It was supposed to be a dwarf tie, but I planted it way too close to a dwarf coconut, so I had to get over the coconut. And I've only had like 1 or 2 papayas off that thing, and they were one of the best papayas I've ever had. So
Incredible.
hopefully it'll fruit again, so I can get some more seeds and put them where they won't get too tall. But yeah, we're really big into the dwarf tie papayas, man. They make pies like,
how tall do they get?
I don't know. The ones I have in the direct sun are less than 8 foot tall.
Wow.
And they've been there for probably 2 years.
Okay.
But usually about 2 years is all you'll get out of a papaya because they get so tall and they start to get kind of weak and they don't get better after a few years. So we try to plant them every year because they don't have they kind of just dwindle out after a while. They need to take a lot of food. So if they don't have a lot of food, they're not going to get better. So
2 years from seed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But about 9 months till fruit usually.
That's incredibly fast. I didn't
It
even
is.
realize
Papayas
that.
and bananas are the fastest things they're going to feed you here as far as like fruits. Both of them will fruit within the first year.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's fast.
So,
I think
it is fast.
Yeah, the fast weird one I have, even people around here might not be familiar with. I have these small freestone peaches that have purple leaves on the trees, and they do the thing that I've always looked for in plants. The seeds, when they drop, they turn into trees. They make their own trees that have fruit similar to the parent trees, but they come from their own thing. It's, you know, where a grafted peach tree, you know, the whole thing, where a grafted peach tree will all be the same variety from the same tree or whatnot. I love how these are good and they'll produce disease-free trees. I don't even have to prune. I can plant them and just let them grow. And they're really fast though for here, like 3 years. And they'll be
Mm.
producing maybe 10, 12 fruits. And then, you know, 5 years in, they'll be definitely filling baskets.
Wow. Yeah. You know, it's about finding the plants that are really adapted to your world, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the big ones we've been crushing it with is cassava. I mean, that's kind of like a known thing out here in the tropics. But man, I filled up so much of this garden with cassava just to like hold down space and kind of like keep the place under control. And man, I pulled out hundreds and hundreds of pounds of cassava and it was so fun, dude.
Wow.
I pulled some ones out that were like almost the size of me as far as just height wise. It's pretty amazing.
Wow.
It was really cool.
Speaking of you again, like how much of your cells, you know, they say that we rebuild our cellular structure like 100% every 7 years. Like how much
Yeah.
of your cellular structure do you think is like coming right from this like jungle you're getting to play and crawl around in
From
all the time?
from the Ina? It's a good
From the
question.
Aina. From
You
the
know,
Aina.
I'll be honest with you. A few years ago, me and my wifey, we didn't have electricity over here, and it was really challenging, and it made us like really eat from our gardens and just be on it because like if you can't throw things in the refrigerator, like you're starting meals over and over and over and over, you know.
Yeah.
And my wife's an amazing cook, and at that point, I would say we were probably about like 60-70% from our gardens, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now we got refrigerator, bro. We got lights. We're like going to Costco's. Convenience is kicking in.
Getting
And I
like
would say
the bulk supply of some things and
exactly. And I mean, she's an amazing cook and she's French Canadian. So she's all about her, you know, her wines and her cheeses and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like,
so
how could I
fun.
say no? She makes me delicious foods, you
Yeah.
know? So I think at this point, we're probably about like, I would say 30 to 40% out of our gardens, you know,
That's
just
amazing. That's a
because
lot.
we have access to a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
But we did really good with the wild chickens. We have wild chickens here and wild pigs.
They just roam
And
free. Just wild.
yeah,
That's yeah.
yeah. So we trap pigs and chickens and we've been eating that a lot and that's been like, you know, that's been really fun because like when something shows up in your garden, like it's your food, bro. It's your food.
Yeah.
And like on our island here, we have an abundance of wild chickens. It's kind of a joke and people look at them like rats. Like that's how crazy we are, you know? It's
Wow.
they don't even see them as food. They're like, oh, you can't eat those things. They're probably all scrawny and gross. And we make soup out of them, bro, and they're delicious and
Yeah.
nutritious. And whenever I was just telling the story the other day, like I took one apart, and you know, like the gizzard, like where they hold all their food,
Uh-huh.
like when I looked inside of it, it was completely solid black beetles. And if you know chickens, that's all they want. Like birds in general, like that's their favorite food is like little
Seeking their
black beetles.
bugs. And,
Some people call them cockroaches. I'm gonna call them black beetles so we don't gross everybody out.
yeah.
But basically, like they had exactly what they wanted to eat. You know, they're not eating corn, they're not eating soy, they're eating like what chickens are supposed to be eating, and they're kicking and running, and they're wild. You know, so like the mana, the life inside of those guys in comparison to like what we get at the stores, it's a
Mhm.
completely different shade, it's a different texture, it's a different smell. It's the same animal, but it's a different breed, you know? So like
Nutrient
I'm really
rich.
proud that we
Yeah.
dude, the nutrient density on them is way
Can you
different.
imagine? Like
So I'm
when
really
a
proud like that, you know, like that's it's something that's just underutilized here and it's almost silly that we don't even see them as food, but we'll go to the grocery store and buy a chicken, you know?
sure, right.
So
I mean, even
so it's
like making what I like calling chicken soup chicken tea. Because I mean, it's kind
yeah,
of like
right,
you're
yeah.
making a decoction of a chicken, you know, and you're pulling all the oils and nutrients and things, and
Yeah.
it's
It's so good. It's so important. I think it's one of my favorite foods. When she makes the chicken soup with the wild chickens, like I compare it to coconut water. You know, it just has that.
mm,
That's what your body says. Your body's like, "Thank you, man. That's exactly what I needed." You know.
it's like an
So
internal like spa, you know, just
it
like
is like
It's like
your
a
body just
sauna just
kind of goes.
goes through you. It's like, I
So
needed those
yeah,
things.
it's good. It's good. And the wild pigs are trippy here. They're a big thing. Like there's supposed to be more pigs on this island than humans, and they cause massive destruction. If you don't have a fenced in garden here, they're going to eat your garden.
Wow.
So luckily here on this farm we have the whole place is fenced in, so my gardens are good. But
Pig defense
they're
systems.
say again.
It's like the wild pig defense system.
You have
Yeah.
to, or you're done. Especially if you're growing root crops, they will come and destroy you. And they're not even scared of you. What are you going to do to them? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You can go out there and yell at them. They're just going to look at you and be like, "What? You want to fight?"
Like, I don't see you huffing and puffing, trying to
Yeah, they're
blow
like,
my house
"Come,
down.
try me, bro.
Try it.
Try
I,
me. I'm right here."
I often think about that here on the mainland about what it would have been like trying to grow a garden if mastodon were still wandering around.
Right?
That'd be pretty fascinating, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
That was
well,
kind of a part of the history here in the Hawaiian Islands. Like, everybody had their gardens, everyone had their lo'is. And when they first got cattle here, the cattle just walked up and just demolished everybody's garden because they were just completely free range and they were protected. They were kapu, so we couldn't hunt them,
mhm.
you know? So like that was one of the last like kind of the spikes to the side of Hawaiians being able to cultivate for themselves. Like when a monster animal like that you've never seen before is just like in your garden eating it, what are you gonna do?
Eat
What are you
it.
gonna do? That thing's 10 times your size.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna eat it, but you got to get there.
That
You
would
got
be
to get there.
that'd be like whole barbecue for the whole the whole family that
Yeah,
night.
yeah. It's a hell of a barbecue. It's a
Yeah.
hell of a barbecue. But
So yeah, speaking of, in the realms of indigenous and the first people on the islands there, can you share with the audience, a lot of people that might be listening might want to know about that but not know exactly. Maybe you were mentioning that being some of your connection when you were there, and then getting into the food forest, growing even a deeper connection. Can you share a little bit about that?
yeah, I mean, this. I mean, you know how what's happened as far as like the Native Americans, and it's a very similar story here. It's just it's the story is more recent. It's only like a 200-year-old story instead of 500. So the scabs aren't as healed. You know, um,
Somewhere fresh,
but
like this Maui
they're
fire
fresher.
stuff, and
Yeah, it's fresher, and it's a sad thing. A lot of the native people have been pushed out of the islands too because of just the economics. The price of living here is so outrageous that they can't afford to live in their own homes.
mhm.
And it's become such a popular. It's one of the most demanded land in the world.
Wow.
Easily
Yeah.
to say in the United States, but I would say the world. We have some of the most wealthy people in the world, like right here on the North Shore. Because why? Because it's fucking gorgeous, and like it's a slice of paradise. So as all that has gone up, they've really been pushed out, and it's sad. And I cherish the connections with the people that I have that still are here and that still have that connection to the land, because a lot of it has been eroded away. It's been eroded away by them either having to leave or them having to evolve to be able to keep up in this economics, commerce world that they are forced to live in here. So
Great.
it's a sad story, but there's also a huge renaissance I feel right now as far as of Hawaiian um, everything, my friend, like Hawaiian language, planting and cultivating of all the skill sets of sailing, of fish ponds. There's been a lot of work in fish pond restoration lately, and it's really beautiful to see. They're so smart, and I've been talking about this and thinking about this lately. Like what they are doing, what they've really mastered is like the most basic of technologies, right? Like if you think about our culture right now, we're high tech, right?
Yeah.
And we think about that as like, oh, we're proud of that. But like the higher you up are on the pyramid, bro, the farther it is on the way down as far as when things fall.
But these guys were low tech. These guys were stone, water, and gravity. And so
Yeah.
they knew how to work with these elements. And when those elements are stable, like it doesn't matter. Like you could have fallout for the rest of the world, but as long as it's raining and gravity's happening and you know how to plant your colo, you're fine, you
Hmm.
know? And so I really see that they were and are a brilliant, brilliant culture, you know, and it's
Brazilian.
because they have just, you know, just eons of observation and passing down of this knowledge that they've cultivated from these lands and lands that were, you know, all the way back to Taiwan, all through the Pacific, Samoa, Tahiti, you know, like they've voyaged and they've collected so much knowledge. Like
Hmm.
the more I understand about their language. I can't speak Hawaiian, but the more I understand just the words, the more that everything starts to fit together because it's so detailed, you know? It's so detailed, it's so interconnected with like how do I put it? Like the fish, the birds, the taro, like there will be same words for certain things across a lot of boards because there's similarities, you know? So like you'll have one word that they will use in many, many different ways because there's similarities between these things. And it's like you don't understand it until you have the observation of the ecosystems and the environment where you're like, oh, okay, I understand why all these words were the same words, you know? Because
Yeah.
you know they've
Yeah.
it's a language of ecology, you know,
There's the
and it's so
connections.
different than
Yeah.
our words and our ways of speaking. Like we'll have a port that will be St. John's Port,
St. John's
and
Port.
their language would have been, you know, the Circle Beach with the high winds, you know, like the word will tell
Speaking
you
to
about
the
the
place.
place.
Yeah.
You know, which is brilliant
But
because
in a
why
such a
would
beautiful way, you know, like not just like it's the
yeah,
place that has a tree. No, but more
right.
like a flamenco
Yeah,
song
it's
coming out or something. Like
yeah, I mean it was really descriptive and like useful language and way of utilizing it all in comparison to like a lot of times we're just, you know, stamping our name on things and been like that was me that did that, you know.
mhm.
So um but yeah,
St. John's
the
Port.
Hawaiians and the Hawaiian culture, we have so much to learn from them, my friend. We really, really
Mhm.
do. And as far as just like the way that they are in community and how they treat each other, and yeah, I mean, Westerners have a lot of catching up to do. They're much more efficient at being good humans and good stewards, you know, to each other and to the land because that's what they needed to do to be able to survive, you know. So yeah, we've kind of lost that because of economics and the rat race, I feel.
Yeah, and
But
like
the
kind of
more
the
that we get
loops.
back into like doing what we're supposed to do, the more that
Yeah.
we can cultivate what we need to cultivate.
Man, that's such a loop to our episode recording here, like just kind of looping it right back to that connection, you know, and that disconnection. And
Hmm.
yeah, I'd love to, you know, hear more of the, you know, voices of the Hawaiians and what they, I mean, from like your sharing here, you know, it's an acknowledgement. It's a feeling of like, yeah, these, you know, these are people who are still here connecting into the land in their place where they've been for eons. And I mean, for me, that's like a daydream to feel.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm just picking up crumbs, you know.
I'm a little excited because I've been here for 14 years or something, you know, like I feel
Yeah,
so connected and
right,
like the
exactly.
stars have been
Imagine
out
like
and
yeah, imagine like generations and generations of people being in the same place and like
hmm.
passing down that knowledge. I mean, you really yeah, you become part of the place and you know, we could dream about it and I think we could start it. It just takes that. It takes a lot of time, you know. But it's beautiful that it's still here and it's not gone, you know. It's
Yeah.
and I really feel like these islands are very special and I mean a lot of people say that and it's because they're alive still, my friend. Like they're full of life
Hmm.
and their life vibrates higher than not than void of life. Let's say that, right?
Yeah.
So when you have that much like concentration of life, and then I also think like something about it being an island where it's has so much salt water around, so there's a lot less. I think it has something to do with people and populations, and like maybe since the population's lower and we're insulated by huge amounts of salt water all around us, and there's so much life concentrated around here that it actually just it vibrates really really high, and it's special in that way, you know. And the people that have been here, they know that, and like they've put so much love into this land for generations that it's still here. I mean, we're in the scars of it right now. We had sugar cane, we had industrial pineapple, there was industrial cattle that ran through here. So, you know, the land's been treated like a redheaded stepchild, but the love is still in it, and it still has the potential to be a paradise. And people look at it
Mhm.
as a paradise, and realistically a lot of is regrowth of all kinds of weeds from around the world. But like love, I mean, like nature is beautiful, and it's beautiful in all of its forms, no matter where it's from, you know.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
it's showing a completely different Hawaii than that was here 15 years ago, you know, 100 years ago, because the plants are all new, you know, so it's not even recognizable.
I think that's
And it's
kind of
changing
how
every year.
I think like how we were talking about our mental health landscapes, even I feel like kind of what I was getting to is how you can like when you get to a certain place of observation of nature patterns and forms and ecology and how it works, sometimes I feel I can go places and almost have an understanding by looking at an environment around me what the general mental health state is. And
Yeah.
in what to almost like understand and expect from the people that are existing in that home or that community.
Yeah.
And I don't like being judgmental or whatever, but there is like a feeling, and a connection. Herbalists even talk about how the herbs that people need are often growing right outside their homes.
Yeah.
Like the wild weeds that show up are often there, like that's a medicine or some connection to the community. And I
Yeah.
do feel it is a really confusing, mixed up time where we are coming from all the traditions of the world into this like modern globalized thought almost. But at the same time, while that's happening, it's happening because we're living in forests that never existed before
Hmm.
with composers of different species from all over the world. And it's it's a reflection. And again, like I was mentioning, for a good forest gardener to be able to adapt and be present, that's kind of like partially how I feel like I kind of came to that kind of like way of viewing or filtering or communicating, kind of like a way of observing it. It's not exactly what it is, it's beyond words in a certain sense, like these feels like of how we observe a space, and connect with it, or see how the other animals are connecting with it. And what kind of interactions maybe I could do, or if I'm existing and living there, like how am I going to exist into it so that new things can grow into this, because I'd like to see it with more flowers or more fruit,
Hmm.
or like I see these people really like getting blueberries shipped in. Maybe I could plant, some blueberries in, or something, to support
Hmm.
that connection. And it's supporting our greater mental health too. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
your poetics and amazing, like it's just like the love of the land that you're sharing and communicating, it really touches me. It
Oh, thank you, bro.
encourages me. um Part of me wants to be one of those people that's like, I want to come and visit Hawaii now. But I've been wanting to do that for like eons. It's like a continual feeling of how much love I send over to Hawaii, and the beautiful people that I know that spend either parts of their time or all their time there, are amazing. Like just the love and connection they send back to the mainland, at least to from my little elfin lens. And yeah, I hope that you know it would be really nice if I ended up over there and checked it out, but I'm not attached to it. Just really attached to doing the good works and connecting and sharing voice. It's amazing that I can share your voice, which is an amazing, beautiful voice, and with this little microphone, coming off of this little island out there in the Pacific Ocean. Like people can hear and share and feel a little bit of this amazing paradise that you get to exist in and exude gratitude for.
Yeah. Thank you for that, bro. I mean, I've been I've been lucky enough to be able to be here and to like, to learn from it and to like be able to put my love into it. But I mean, it can be done everywhere. That's the great part,
Yeah,
Anywhere
yeah.
you got feet and you got dirt, we can create, and it's not it, every place is going to have its challenges and its I guess you would say its opportunities. Um but Yeah, man. I mean, this place is special, but I mean, everywhere is. Everywhere really is special once you start putting your love and Monotmo and stuff into it. So I would say, if you get the chance, come out here and stay with us for a week. We'll put you up over here, and
Yeah.
that door is open for you. But at the same time, it's you're lucky enough to be able to be right where you are and to be able to do what you're doing. So that's pretty good too. But man, I mean.
I mean, for that connection too, I definitely want to have some, footnotes in the show episode where people can link and connect with, the Kauai Food Forest and, anything else that you want to add in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, yeah, there is something big. So the Kauai Food Forest is a little tiny. I can't say little tiny. We're a parcel of land here in Kilauea, yeah, and we're on this land that is called Waikoa, which is a 500-acre piece of land, and the whole 500 acres is up for sale. And right now, the food forest is just 7 acres of that 500 acres off in a corner, and so it's kind of up in the air. The whole thing has been, and it's been like completely terrifying. And it's kind of like one of those things in life where if you don't have really much control of it, like what do you do, But the whole land is up for sale, and it's up for sale for $33 million.
Whoa.
And like I said, it's 500 acres plus. And the big vision that we have, me and a few other more business minded people, is to kind of create a place of solutions. Like we need to be able to create the solutions for our food system, for our energy, for our building, for like animal husbandry, for education. Like what part of this culture isn't broken?
Hmm.
Like point to that part. We will
Yeah.
leave that part out, you know what I mean? But like we want to create an example, and the food forest is kind of the seed of that vision, because what we have kind of created a little example, and we need more. We need more of them. Right now it's a white elephant. It's the only one, and it's 12 years in. I was hoping they would be all over the place by now, but
Yeah.
there's only one Paul Massey and there's only one Rob right now, and we're the ones that have been holding down the work. So like we need to replicate ourselves, but we also need the ability to be able to like to own the land under our feet, or at least have it stable enough that we can live there and work there and create more, because none of us could live there. We don't own the land, and we've been allowed to be there because of the good work that we're doing, and the community recognizes what we've done, and they see us as a valuable asset of the community and the island. But who knows what the people that will buy that land will see us as? They might just see us as a whole bunch of hippies that are a liability, you know so I
Or at
just
least
want to
try to
put that out
paint
there.
that picture or something, right? Yeah.
Say again?
They'll try to paint that picture if it's to their somebody's advantage of
Yeah, who knows?
something.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's perspective, and
Yeah.
everybody's gonna have their own perspective. But I'm just putting that on the internet waves because I haven't really talked about it on the internet yet, because it's a really sensitive subject,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to ruffle any feathers of the people that have let us be there. But at
Yeah.
this point, it's been on the market for a while, and yeah, we really got to round horses up to be able to keep this land in the community hands, or it's going to end up in some McMillionaire's hands and it's going to be fenced off, and that's that,
Yeah.
you know? So it's terrifying, but it's also like, you know, if you have a kid and it's sick, what do? You don't walk away.
Right. You don't just,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
you don't just walk away from a sick kid. No, you just, yeah,
Yeah.
you would, yeah, wow. Thanks for sharing that. And I hope that, that's I'd like to we'll keep in touch on that and see any other way that, like, as you are sharing things about that, I'll keep people updated wherever I can.
Yeah. And I
Um,
mean, it's just we have to talk to the right people, and we have to create the vision that can be executed. And it's right now there's a lot of money, but money doesn't really mean shit when we're going in the wrong direction. So, like, if we don't have a good direction, then what kind of legacy are we able to leave?
yeah, fences and walls and
Yeah, I mean, just trash and
trash. Yeah.
trash, basically. Basically, that's what we do. We make trash.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to happen. So like, that's what we need to do. We need to make an example of something different, and like, that's the seed that we've created. The food forest is our laboratory of how to create, and how, and that's our paint palettes of how to create. And we need to step it up into a whole system model, so we can have a running system so people can copy,
Yeah.
because people are much better at copying than they are from making everything from scratch.
Yeah, and then they can kind of, you can watch how they observe and adapt it into, their own unique expression and connection of it. And I love that. But yeah,
Yeah, so that's
creating the norm almost, though. Like, I do
yeah,
think you're doing
yeah.
a wonderful job. You make it look cool, fun, and like this. I don't know. Like, there's a thing we like to say in Wake the Farm Up. We like keeping things serious, but seriously fun, right? And
Yeah. I
it's
mean,
it's real. You're producing things. You're um, connecting people as they're. I love how you have. I mean, in Hawaii, you definitely have more tourism than Southern Indiana. I'll tell you that. Being able to have people come through the garden and connect with that. That's huge work. That's
yeah,
that's I appreciate
yeah.
that. I appreciate you
Thank you for
taking
that.
time with the Wake the Farm Up here. We're like
Oh,
the I do want to tell you the video somehow quit recording, and I'm not exactly sure why. It's like it was like a new way of recording video, and I have not got one to work all the way through quite yet, but that it worked for an hour.
okay. Well, I got something.
So right now we'll have some cool pictures and stuff on some kind of video, but the audio format stuff here is what we're trying to connect people in so they can have their eyes free to look around the land at them mostly, but people do like looking at these things. So
Yeah, it's become the norm now.
yeah, they want to see what we
That's
look
okay.
like, I guess, and like see our
Yeah,
face expressions. And
yeah.
I've been enjoying it, I guess, more the embracing more. Like, it's cool seeing you, really, honestly, not just hearing your voice, but getting to see you and watch
Yeah.
the sunset with you. That was beautiful. Thanks.
Oh,
Thanks
cool,
for,
cool. Yeah, it's cool. It's a deeper level of communication, through video.
yeah,
It's not person to person and like a real human conversation, being humans, but it's pretty damn close.
right, right.
I can't smell your breath, but I can see the glaze of your eyes.
I have thought about it. How funny it would be if like the main device that we figured out how to transfer through wires or, towers and stuff was scent, like
Right?
instead of like audio and visual, it was like smell and like
Smell-o-vision.
smell and vision. You see things and smell it, but you have to imagine what it sounds like.
Yeah, that would be interesting. That's a whole nother line. Well, I appreciate your how do I put it? Your ability to be able to like look at what needs to be done and to execute it, and to start trying to get these ideas out there, because it's important work. There's lots of things to there's so many people to listen to on the internets. So I appreciate you pulling me out of the woodwork
and
Yeah, buddy.
trying to put me on a pedestal to be able to have my voice heard. I appreciate that, and I thank you for that, because I I rather have someone ask me for my opinion than me just giving it out these days.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
hear you,
nicer that
man.
way.
Yeah, it's
Um,
your voice is wonderful, and I definitely feel like it's one that I wanted to share with Wake the Farm Up, and the subtitle of the podcast being Maintaining Ground. I'd love to loop back around. I'll be doing this for years. I'm definitely thinking this will be a perennial thing, and you know,
good.
yeah, we'll catch up. Maybe there's all kinds of maybes, but I try not to throw them out there. Actually,
That's
you
okay. That's
know.
okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, let's all give it up for Rob Cruz. For hanging out with us for a bit here. This was like incredibly fun.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate your time and I appreciate your efforts. And I had a good time. And I love what you're doing. It's good to see the fire back there. I'm out here, no shirt on.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I'm about to throw a few more logs in and stoke it up so
Yeah,
I
looks
can
cozy, bro.
like
Looks
pull my
cozy.
shirt off. And one of the things I
Yeah.
do in the winter, I play drum set. I got a little drum set
There
in
you go.
here, and I'll get all hot, and
Yeah,
you're
get all
making me
worked up. There you go.
you're beautiful, brother. Love you so much.
Bro.
Appreciate you
Thank
being
you, bro.
on here.
Thank you, bro. Have a good night. Much love.